Good afternoon. This is the midday news on 3FM 92.7 in Accra. We're also live on Facebook on 3FM 927 and live on our other affiliates across the country. Coming up this afternoon, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin is expected to give his ruling on a petition seeking to declare seats of 4 sitting MPs vacant in line with Article 97 of the 1992 Constitution. We'll take you live to Parliament. Also this afternoon, Supreme Court resumes hearing suits challenging constitutionality of anti-LGBTQ bill passed by Parliament and awaiting presidential assent. Later this afternoon, we tell you why concerned staff of the Volta River Authority continue to push back at proposed merger with Buipa Authority, warning it will lead to high energy costs. We have details of these and more, plus some politics coming up shortly. My name is Grace Hammoah Agyemang. Stay with us. Many thanks for joining us. The bulletin starts right here, right now. Let's begin from Parliament. This afternoon, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, will today give his ruling on a petition from the minority seeking to declare the seats of 4 sitting MPs vacant. In line with Article 97 of the 1992 Constitution, the minority wants the MP for Suhum Kojo Asante, former MP Andrew Isiama, MP for Agona West Cynthia Morrison, and Amenfi Central MP Kwache Aka removed, while 3 of these MPs have filed to contest as independent candidates in the upcoming December poll. The former MP, who is currently in the House as an independent member, has filed to contest on the ticket of the governing New Patriotic Party, NPP. The majority leader, Alexander Penyo-Marking, has filed an injunction at the Supreme Court to prevent the Speaker from declaring the seat vacant. However, US-based Ghanaian lawyer Professor Kweku Asare argues that the mere filing of an injunction against Parliament does not and should not stop parliamentary work due to the principle of separation of powers. So let us quickly take you through what this issue is about, and then we'll go to Parliament and speak to my colleague Noble Crosby Annan, who is in Parliament and is joining me for more. So on your screens, if you're watching us on Facebook, you can see all the 4 MPs whose seats are being challenged or are being asked to declare vacant because they have some issues with their political parties. Some of them are filing to contest as independent candidates. You can see the MP for Suhum Kojo Asante. You can also see Cynthia Mamle Morrison, MP for Agona West NPP, who is now moving to independent. MP for Formina, independent to NPP, Andrew Isiama Amwako, and of course, Peter Kwache Aka, the MP for Amenfi Central, who is moving from the NDC to become an independent candidate. My colleague from Parliament is joining me now. Crosby, if you can hear me, talk to us about attendance and whether you have spotted these 4 MPs in the chamber.
Oh, great. The attendance in Parliament today, as I said with you, was not
Crosby,
great.
Speak up for me so my listeners and myself, we can hear you.
Right, great. If you can hear me, attendance in Parliament so far, as I speak with you, has not been great. However, the numbers are expected to rapidly increase when maybe during the later hours of the day when the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, is expected to deliver this crucial ruling. But as I speak with you, just a handful of things are present, thronging in and out of the chamber, and yet to properly convene or sit so that proceedings will begin today. For these 4 members of Parliament, we are also yet to see them around. I'm also yet to see any of them around. But the expectation is that because this is a ruling that concerns them, that they are at the center stage, the expectation is that they will be in the chamber, they will be in Parliament while it is read, and hopefully we'll get reactions from them depending on where the Speaker rules towards.
Crosby, give us a general mood in the House. We know that this ruling is one that is going to be big and might affect proceedings today. What is the general mood in the House? Do you see the MPs sitting together in 2s or in 3s? What exactly is happening?
Well, what is happening right now is the few MPs who are around, nobody really knows which direction the Speaker is likely to tilt towards or is likely to rule. The Speaker has carved a niche for very independent, very opinionated, if you like, in delivering key rulings. So hardly are they able to suggest or guess where the Speaker's ruling would tilt towards their own in anticipation. Some are having just mere expectations talk to them, or based on the part of the House they find themselves, or based on the documents or the circumstances available, their expectations based on these factors, and not because of having an idea what the Speaker is likely to rule towards. Especially, the mood is irregular. People just do not know how it is going to go, but they're just hoping all the best. Great.
All right, Crosby, thank you. We'll definitely come back to you when the Speaker of Parliament gives that all-important ruling. My colleague Noel Crosby Annan joining us from Parliament and bringing us that update. Away from Parliament, the Electoral Commission says it will declare presidential election results for each region before declaring the national verdict. This is part of reforms and additions the EC has made to its plans for the December polls, including the deployment of collation officers for each constituency and each region. Speaking at the launch of the Election Day Observation and Post-Election Action Plan by the Coalition of Domestic Observers, the EC Deputy Chairperson Dr. Bosman Asari says the Commission is poised and ready to deliver another successful election. Let's listen to him.
Mandated me to come and represent him. Let me start by saying that the Electoral Commission of Ghana is very, very much poised for another successful, peaceful and inclusive elections in 2024. And we are saying this because we have doubled down on all the measures we took in 2020. Most of the things we did in 2020, which supported us greatly, we have doubled down on them. And we are very much sure that 2024 is going to be another successful general election. In terms of registration, we've been able to register all those who are qualified. And when you look at the data we have now, almost 18.8 million Ghanaians. And when you look at the register, the Ghana's population from the Ghana Statistical Service is about 33-point-something million. So we are doing almost 56% of our population on the voters register.
Dr. Eric Bosman Asari, Deputy Chair of the EC, speaking to us on the plans by the Electoral Commission on what they intend to do. Well, Dr. Mahama Agyemang, the African Union High Representative for Silencing the Guns, also spoke at the event. We can listen to him.
We are in the peak of campaigns. The electoral process leading to election is in full steam. In many other places, you would have been receiving reports of clashes, confrontations. So far in our country, that is not the case. And I think this atmosphere is conducive to ensuring continued peaceful processes, peaceful campaigning. The campaigns this time around seem to be around issues, what each party, what each candidate intends to do, national level, constituency level. That is where it should remain. And let us hope that if it stays this way, then ultimately it comes down to the people having the right to choose their leaders on December 7th.
Dr. Mahama Agyemang has just set the tone for us to do some campaign stories. So let's get into that now. It's 50 days, the December 7th general elections, and the campaign activities by the various candidates seeking power has intensified. And this afternoon, the presidential candidate of the main opposition, National Democratic Congress, NDC, John Dramani Mahama, is again touring the Greater Accra region to canvass for votes for himself and the party's parliamentary candidate. The Greater Accra is one swing region which has proven crucial to winning the presidential election in Ghana since the return to democratic rule in 1993. The NDC won 20 of the 34 parliamentary seats in the Greater Accra region in the 2020 general election. Let's touch base with Kamla Kluche, my colleague, who is covering the NDC presidential candidate's campaign tour for us. Kamla, this is not the first time John Mahama is campaigning in the Greater Accra region. Why has this become important for him to come back this time?
Just like you posted, that the Greater Accra region is a swing region. because of the dynamics that it comes with. One, this would be the fourth leg of his tour of the Greater Accra region, campaigning or canvassing for votes. And because of the nature of the terrain and also how gridlocking it's always been with the campaign in the Greater Accra region, he's been staggered to take care of between 4 and 5 legs. So this would be the fourth one that John Mahama will be doing. It's also to make the point that he views the Greater Accra region as very, very crucial going into this campaign. The chairman and also the chairman of the Greater Accra executives of the party, and also the minority caucus of the Greater Accra NDC have intimated their resolve to have not less than 25 seats won within the Greater Accra region. In fact, they're actually targeting even more than that. But it does appear that they are putting in a lot of efforts. Currently, John Mahama is in Ningo Prampram. He arrived just a short while ago. The Member of Parliament, Sam George, just finished talking. I just heard him talk about how deplorable the roads have been. And if you know this constituency very well, their roads are extremely bad, especially roads that were even constructed in the NDC administration. Heavy-duty trucks ply all those roads, and it does appear that they are not getting any sign at all in terms of dealing with the roads. And so he's doing Ningo Prampram. He will also be doing Bunkatamanso, and then he'll be doing Tema Central, and then Tema East. These are the constituencies that John Mahama will be focusing on for today.
All right, Kamla, we know that the campaign has just begun again for him in the Greater Accra region. We'll definitely come back to you for more when it is right. Kamla Kluche, my colleague, is following the NDC presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama. We stay on election matters and the role the Greater Accra region plays in securing victory for candidate. 18,772,251 voters are on the electoral roll. The elections will take place in 40,974 polling stations. Musa Dankwa is Executive Director at Global Info Analytics Limited, and his outfit has been conducting polls ahead of the general election. Let's speak to him now. Mr. Dankwa, thank you for joining us. Why has the Greater Accra become so important in this year's election, according to your polls?
Thank you very much. Greater Accra has been always an important region to win. It is one of the 3 swing regions we have in the country, besides the central region and the western region. And again, since the last register of the voters that we updated, it has also become the largest region in terms of voting population. About 20% of voters are in Greater Accra. So if you're able to do very well in Greater Accra, that could boost up your numbers elsewhere in the area. So I think that is why Accra is also very, very important.
And from your latest poll, how are the candidates performing in terms of presidential vote share?
If you look at the last election results, John Mahama won Greater Accra. And the current polling is actually leading in Greater Accra by quite a bigger margin than he won last year. And I believe that if he wins the Greater Accra with comfortable margin or a good margin, that could make it easy for him to win the election one touch.
So the NDC won 20 of the 34 parliamentary seats in the Greater Accra region in the previous election. Does it look like that this time too?
I think Accra will be one of the largest regions in terms of parliamentary numbers, as far as we understand it to be. And we expect a lot of the seats MPP is currently holding to come under severe pressure and under siege. And that makes it Accra very, very interesting to watch. We expect not only Accra, but I think Western region. If NDC are to win majority in parliament, it's going to be Greater Accra and Western region that will drive that achievement.
Why is that so?
Because what we've seen in the data shows that a lot of the seats in Greater Accra here that under MPP's control are under threat, as well as in the Western region as well. So we believe that these are the regions that MPP, if they don't take care, they could really suffer huge defeat in the parliamentary numbers.
The NPP makes the argument that if they are able to win about 70% or even 75% of votes in the Ashanti region, they are also likely to win the election. How do we draw the line between winning the majority votes or seats in the Greater Accra and Western region against the NPP's argument that they can also do well in the election if they win over 75% votes also in the Ashanti region?
I think that 75% winning in Ashanti region, giving them a win, must be read with caution. You can win even 80% of that number, but if the turnout is low, that number will not make any difference. So it's about turnout and turnout and turnout. And we have seen that across the country, voter apathy is very heavy among MPP sympathizers. I mean, for every 100 people who say they will not vote, MPP has about 20 of them.
All right, Mr. Dankwa, thank you for speaking to us. The election is just some 50 days away, and we will see how it pans out. Mr. Dankwa, Executive Director at Global Info Analytics Limited. His outfit conduct polls ahead of the general election. Let us go back to our earlier story about the Electoral Commission's intention to declare presidential election results for each region before declaring the national verdict. And my colleague Christian Yale is joining me on the line. Christian, if you can hear me, I think we have lost Christian. We'll work the phone line and speak to him later. If you just tuned in, this is the midday news on 3FM 92.7. Stories gone by so far. We have been talking to you about the tour of the NDC presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama, who is currently in the Greater Accra region. We also told you about how this Speaker of Parliament will today give his ruling on a petition from the minority seeking to declare the seat of 4 sitting MPs vacant in line with Article 97 of the 1990 Constitution. We just spoke to Musa Dankwa of Global Info Analytics on why the Greater Accra region is such an important region in this upcoming election and what you and I need to be looking forward to. Let us still stay on issues relating to elections now. And Director of Legal Affairs Directorates of the National Democratic Congress, Ejudita Maklo, says the party will contest the purported disqualification by the Electoral Commission of its parliamentary candidate for the Amenfi Central constituency. Joanna Kujo Jan was disqualified from contesting in the upcoming December 7, 2024 parliamentary elections. This decision follows an order for an interlocutory injunction issued by the High Court in Secondary after a lawsuit was filed by Jedu Frimpong and 4 others against her, the NDC and the Electoral Commission. Ejudita Maklo spoke with 3FM News earlier.
We wrote to the Electoral Commission giving some clarification on some of the issues. Unknown to us, the EC had already taken this conclusion. So the letter we have written that was received yesterday by the EC, we await their response. In the meantime, we'll take every step to correct this anomaly. But like I pointed out, the party will have a meeting with the Electoral Commission, and we are confident that the EC will consider this so-called or purported disqualification. I mean, for the Electoral Commission to take the extraordinary, to disqualify a person is a very serious matter. To disqualify a person from contesting an election as a member of parliament, it's not subject to the whim of somebody. No, it's a very serious matter. In fact, the Supreme Court in the case of Abuna Williams says, look, the disabilities associated with disqualifying a person are very serious. And sometimes the decision taken likely. Even the High Court that they claim the purported High Court or that they claim they are relying on, let us disqualify the person. And let's see how it goes in the coming days.
Ejudita Maklo is Director of Legal Directorates of the NDC. In what can be described as a first of its kind, the Electoral Commission says it will declare presidential election results for each region before declaring the national verdict. This is part of reforms and additions to the EC has made to its plans for the December polls, including the deployment of coalition officers for each constituency and each region. Let's connect to my colleague Christian Yale, who has been sitting at the event where the EC has been speaking. Question, walk us through some of the measures taken by the EC for this year's election and what the reaction of people at this event has been.
Exactly, Grace. And so this is quite a new, directive by the Electoral Commission, as it were. Unlike in previous instances that you have the presidential result declared at once by the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, this time around the EC, as part of its transparency measures, is saying that when the elections are over, the regional coalition centers would declare the presidential result for each of the candidates. And then it is after all the 16 regions have declared their respective presidential results that the national one would be held by the Electoral Commission chairperson, Jane Mensah. So that is part of a number of reforms that the Electoral Commission has outlined. And according to Dr. Bosman Asare, one of the new reforms would be to dispatch 5 EC officials for each polling station. That is not all. And even before I move on to the next point, each of these 5 EC officials would have distinct roles to perform during the collation and during the conduct of the election. Aside from these 5 officials, the Electoral Commission is going ahead to employ the services of collation officers. The EC makes the argument that over the years, its electoral officers are, loaded with a lot of work or duties on the election day, and so it is going ahead to employ or to engage the services of persons who know statistics and who are good when it comes to data management, who will be trained to manage the collation from the polling station to the regional and even to the national level. So these are some of the things that Dr. Bosman Asare has been mentioning.
All right, Christian, thank you for bringing us updates. We earlier listened to Dr. Bosman's audio and he gave us explanation on that. Christian Yale is my colleague there at that Kodeo event. Let us go to the court because the Supreme Court has ordered lawyers of the Speaker of Parliament and Attorney General to file documents they will rely on in defense of the suit filed by lawyer and broadcast journalist Richard Delasky within 7 days. The court, seated with only one justice in attendance, is hearing applications and the Richard Delasky suit, which, among many things, wants the court to strike out the bill passed as unconstitutional, having failed to undergo a financial assessment test by the Attorney General. There has been growing pressure on the judiciary and the Chief Justice by proponents of the bill following a demonstration last week demanding expedited hearing of the suit. We'll take you to court shortly for what has been happening there. My colleague Lord Edwasa will bring us the updates, but let's walk you through the suit and what has been happening with the suit. So there's the Dr. Amanda Odo vs. Speaker and Attorney General, Richard Sky vs. Parliament and Attorney General. In July 2024, Supreme Court rules on injunction application but decides to order early trial instead of dismissing or granting injunction. In October 2024, proponents of the bill staged demonstration demanding expedited hearing, accused judiciary of delays. Judicial Service denied the claim, says AG has not filed defense in both cases. Neither have the 3 parties filed memorandum of issues. And so that's the latest with the case. Now, Lady Drasari is joining us in studio for more on this. Lord, walk us through what has been happening. Lord, so walk us through what has been happening in court today. Yeah. Right.
So, Grace, earlier in court today, the lawyer for the Speaker of Parliament, he was represented by Raphael Bannerman, not Thaddeus, this time around. Now, he indicated to the court that he actually admitted that he was at fault because today in court, we were expecting them to file their memorandum of issues as well as their statement of case in response to the suits filed by Richard Delasky. Now, I need to put this out there that today, none of the parties themselves were present. Richard Delasky was represented by someone else. The Attorney General was absent. Speaker of Parliament was also absent. And so his lawyer indicated that he had failed to file this document and he was expected that it would be attached to his statement of case, but he hadn't been able to file that, and so he was pleading with the court. He said that it wasn't out of disrespect to the court, but it was merely an oversight. It wasn't intentional. So he was praying for additional days, essentially asking for a brief adjournment to be able to file this document. Now, the lawyer for Richard Delaskai, represented by Pakwesi Abedu, as well as the Attorney General's lawyer, did not oppose to this application or the request by the lawyer for the Speaker of Parliament. But in his bid to clear the air, lawyer for Richard Delaskai, Pakwesi Abedu, indicated that, even if I guess that, that like you read, the judiciary, somewhere this week or last week, issued a statement indicating
denying that they have stalled the process because they've not filed what they need to file.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, Pakwesi Abedu puts it on record in the courtroom that he has filed all his documents, so it cannot be the case that he is part of those stalling the process. It is the Attorney General's department and then the lawyer for the Speaker of Parliament. And indeed, the AG also responded that it's not that they are delaying, but from the look of things, it's a step, right? And there are the ripple effects. So once the lawyer for the Speaker of Parliament files his document, then the Attorney General can also file their document in response to that. Because the Speaker of Parliament had not done that, it had affected the entire proceedings. So once they did not oppose to this application by the lawyer for the Speaker of Parliament, the presiding justice, Justice Iyao Dakon Asari, he granted the application and ordered them to file the documents within 7 days, Grace.
So that means that it is also going to take a while for the case to move to the next stage.
Exactly so, but we are looking at, hopefully if they should
they're able to do all of that in the 7 days,
they'll file that and then move to the next day, and then the case will be called again, and we'll see how things will pan out from there.
All right, Lord, thank you for that update. It's an issue that a lot of Ghanaians are interested in.
Very much
and
so.
we're hoping that they're able to file all of these documents so that, yes, the case can proceed or progress. Lord Edward Sale is my colleague joining us and bringing us up to speed on issues from the Supreme Court. Let us move away from the court. And concerned staff of the Volta River Authority are raising objections to energy bills currently before Parliament that's proposed merging the VRA with the WIPA Authority into a single power generation entity. The national chairman of the VRA Senior Staff Association, Theophilus Tete Ahia, claims the merger could result in the transfer of key hydro assets to a private entity, warning that this would lead to higher power costs, ultimately disadvantaging Ghanaians. Let us speak to my colleague Yvonne Ikwe, who has details more on this. But before we do that, let's listen to Theophilus Tete Ahia, who is the Senior Staff Association president, on what this means to them.
We have two risks we face. Apart from the capacity of Sonoma and Sogli, slightly over 500 megawatts combined going off, there's a possibility of contagion if other IPP
premises. And in that meeting, he agreed that he is coming to withdraw the bills because the points that we have adduced in our petitions are so cogent that he realized that they have to withdraw those bills. As we speak, we have been in the Parliament House for 2 consecutive days, and nothing of that sort has been brought to the floor of Parliament that they are withdrawing that bill. That tells us that, well, we don't know whether we can say that we do not trust the minister, but we hope that he will do the needful to withdraw those bills because they are not to serve the purpose and also to save Ghanaians.
Christopher Tete Ahia is a president of the Senior Staff Association of VRA. Let's talk health now. And if you are a mother of a baby or a toddler, this will be of very importance to you. This is because the New Jabin South Municipal Health Directorate has targeted 24,000 children under 5 years old for the first phase of the nationwide polio vaccination exercise. The exercise was prompted by the detection of poliovirus type 2 in the municipality, necessitating an urgent nationwide vaccination exercise to curtail the spread of the virus to humans. Let's quickly connect with my colleague Yvonne Ikwe. Yvonne, bring us the latest on this. How is the exercise faring where you are, and are residents being receptive to the vaccination?
Good morning. This morning, after a 2-hour run, I can say that for the first day of the exercise, mothers are bringing their children under 5 to the wards and designated places where the health personnel have positioned themselves. We're just hoping that between now and Sunday, we do have lots of the mothers coming out with their children, and then possibly parents of children allowing their wards to go for the vaccination. We do know that this is the particular spot where the virus was detected in the community. It hasn't yet transferred onto humans, and that is what the health authorities do want to stop so that we don't have polio in humans and then really shutting down the progress they have made.
We see this exercise also happening in schools and other areas apart from the health centers.
Well, apart from the health centers, communities, schools, and a lot more places where the children under 5 are expected to be seen, will be having this particular exercise as well.
All right, Yvonne, thank you for that update. Yvonne Nico is my colleague in the Eastern region, updating us on the new polio vaccination exercise by the Ghana Health Service. That will be all for our package for the news on 3FM 92.7. Stories that came through as headlines. Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin is expected to give its ruling on a petition seeking to declare seats of 4 sitting MPs vacant in line with Article 97 of the Constitution. Also, Supreme Court resumed hearing suit challenging constitutionality of anti-LGBTQ bill passed by Parliament and awaiting presidential assent. Concerned staff of the Volta River Authority continue to push back at proposed merger with BIPA Authority, warning it will lead to high energy costs. Many thanks for joining us. My name is Grace Hammoah Agyemang. Menu Afo standing by to bring us the latest in the world of business. Good afternoon.
Frequency 92.7 3FM.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. My name is Menu Afo. Coming up, producer price inflation slows to 30.4% in September 2024, indicating potential easing of inflationary pressures for businesses. Also, new NDC government vows to scrap gold for oil program if it wins December 7 polls. We'll hear from former Deputy Energy Minister and ranking member of the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, John Abu Jenapo, and more oil marketing companies increase petroleum prices amid rising fuel costs across the country. We have details of these and more lined up for you. Please stay. And now let's get straight to the details. The producer price index for September 2024 recorded a modest decline compared to the previous month, indicating a potential easing of inflationary pressures for businesses. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, the PPI for September stood at 30.4%, down from 33.2% in August. This year-on-year increase of 30.4% represents a decrease of 2.8 percentage points compared to August rate. There is more in the following 3 Business News Desk report. We'll bring you details of that shortly. Now, former Deputy Energy Minister and ranking member of the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, John Abu Jinapor, has stated that a new NDC government will scrap the Gold for Oil program introduced by Nana Akufo-Addo's administration. According to him, the government initially claimed that the policy would help stem the depreciation of the cedi against the dollar and curb rising fuel prices. However, he described the program as a failure, noting that fuel prices remain high and the cedi continues to depreciate against the US dollar. Jinapor made these remarks during an energy policy town hall featuring the NDC organized by the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors in Accra.
We are not going to continue with the Gold for Oil program.
A complete jettison.
We are going to take it out, sit with you and replace it with a workable solution and ensure that the forex is available for you. First of all, that gold you sell gives you forex. That forex should be escrowed. First thing, the forex should be escrowed. It's about prioritization. If you think that fuel is a major issue and you want to prioritize it, you will do that. But alongside, we are saying that we want to bring on board our refineries. When we bring on board our refineries finally, it means that importation of finished products will go down drastically. As importation of finished products go down drastically, you are adding value to your indigenous crude oil.
That was former Deputy Energy Minister and ranking member of the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, John Abu Jinapor, on plans by the new NDC government to scrap the Gold for Oil program introduced by the Nana Akufo-Addo administration if the party wins the December 7 polls. Meanwhile, the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors has stated that its members will subject the proposal by the NDC to strict scrutiny. According to Chief Executive of the Chamber, Dr. Patrick Ofori, he emphasized that any policy that will ensure that the availability of foreign exchange for members to conduct businesses is crucial.
What we are interested in as a chamber is how we are able to conduct our trade and get our required foreign exchange requirement to meet our trade and our commercial activities. Whatever any government intends to do, our main aim is how do we assess forests for our trading activities. So we're going to test what they've stated and how best we could do that. And what we also like is the how. How are you going to do this? If TOR is to come on stream, and they are going to increase local production capacity, then in terms of our forest requirement, we need a certain quantum of forest only to bring in crude oil. And by so doing, in terms of our local banks helping us raise LCs to finance the local trade, I think it's something that will be easily for us to conduct.
Dr. Patrick Ofori is Chief Executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors. Now, more oil marketing companies have raised the prices of petroleum products at their various service stations across the country. Allied Oil led the price increases on October 16, 2024, selling a litre of petrol at 12 cedis 73 pesos, while diesel is now going for 13 cedis 73 pesos. This represents a marginal increase compared to the prices quoted on October 1, 2024. Shell has also adjusted its prices with a litre of petrol now selling at 14 cedis 72 pesos, reflecting about 7% increase from the first pricing window in October 2024. Diesel has also gone up by 4.45% and is now selling at 14 cedis 99 pesos per litre. Market leader GOIL on Thursday, October 17, 2024, announced a price increase as well. GOIL has raised the price of petrol by 7.89%, now selling at 14 cedis 49 pesos. Diesel is selling at 14 cedis 90 pesos, marking more than a 4% increase compared to prices on October 9, 2024. Now we'll go back to our earlier story about the producer price index for September 2024, recording a modest decline compared to the previous month, indicating a potential easing of inflationary pressures for businesses.
The decline in producer inflation was primarily driven by a moderation in the industry sector, excluding construction. This sector's inflation rate decreased from 44.6% in August to 43% in September. However, the construction sector saw an increase in inflation, rising to 23.2% in September. The services sector also experienced a decline in inflation, falling from 14% in August to 12.3% in September. While the overall PPI eased, certain sectors continued to experience higher inflation rates. Mining and quarrying, accommodation and food service activities, and transportation and storage recorded inflation rates above the national average. The water supply, sewage, and waste management activity recorded the lowest inflation rate in September at 4%. The slight easing of producer price inflation provides some relief to businesses that have been grappling with rising costs.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Away from that, the National Petroleum Authority has reaffirmed its commitment to ensuring that fuel consumers receive the exact liters they pay for. Eastern Regional Manager David Owusu Kina, during a visit to Atimpuku over alleged consumer shortchange viral video, encouraged consumers who have doubts about the quantities dispensed from pumps to request the 10-liter can for verification. He, however, urged the public to report any discrepancies to the appropriate authorities for proper resolution.
We are in there for your interest, so we will always monitor, because we do not want you to be shortchanged, or we always want you to have value for your money. So I will appeal to the public. And as much as we want you to be bold enough, to request for the levels, we also entreat you to report it to the authorities who have the skill, who have the mandate to do the right investigations before we conclude. Because if it had been any other brand apart from Goil, I'm sure the brand would have spoiled the brand. You understand? But it could be that it wasn't cheating, because we haven't yet investigated the case. So I will appeal to the public that you should have trust in our institutions, and putting trust in our institutions is the only way we can build our own country.
Eastern Regional Manager of National Petroleum Authority, David Owusu Kina there. Well, that brings us to the end of Princess Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more stories, kindly check out our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Mahama Agyemang. Stay tuned. Urban Blend is up next.